This episode of the Quad Squad Pod is sponsored by The Ballad of Bonaduke by R.T. Slaywood, a dark urban fantasy available exclusively on Kindle Vella. Visit our link tree or the description of this episode of the podcast for more information on how to begin reading today. Now let's start the show. All right, gentlemen, we are not living on a prayer, but we are halfway there. Myself and Paulie down. We have Bryce and Aaron still to go. Now, since you guys can all fuck off.
Damn it.
Here's the sweeping fuck off for everybody. This is
off to a roaring start as usual.
The second part of the same episode. The fuck you tally currently stands at 6 and will be carrying that through the end of the episode. So this may cause controversy in the comment section, and you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So that's currently at 6. We're trying to get to 15, and Aaron's going to be doing a lot of talking, so I'm sure we'll be able to get there. Now, we said Bryce is going to lead off, but just so everybody knows, before I throw it over to him, if you're only interested in hearing about movies that are commonly referred to as talkies, you can stop listening after Bryce is done, because I don't think any of Aaron's movies were made after 1923.
Fuck you, Andrew.
You know, and I don't think there was a whole lot of sci-fi flicks back when there were talkies. So, you know, like
No.
I don't think there's a whole lot of moon travel or whatever.
Right. The day the Earth stood still. We got that one.
How many did Charlie Chaplin do, Aaron?
Who did your mom? Fuck off.
You know, like that was great and everything, but I'm sad that it like won't like fall under the "fuck you, Andrew" clause. You know?
No, it's kind of a bummer.
You know, you gotta get more creative, I guess.
Woosah.
But all right, Bryce, whenever you are ready.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let me. Okay, so first off is Rogue One. After that is definitely Empire Strikes. Okay,
listen, motherfucker.
I'm kidding. Everyone relax.
There are
rules.
Everyone relax. No, it's funny because like the note that I have with all my choices on it, it started off with like I wrote at the top Sunday Quad Squad Pod topic sci-fi movies, and then I wrote out Star Wars in order of excellence, and I just went through and did all 11 movies like how I would rank them, like 11 movies, not top 5, and then I started listing like all the movies that I think would fall under this sci-fi thing, and there's so many animated flicks. So many. Okay, so I'm gonna.
These rules helped you dwindle it down.
Well, your list you said was like at least 100 movies long at one point, was it not?
Yeah. And then when you took out when you said that there was like I think like that you guys all assumed that it wouldn't be Star Wars and stuff like that, so like you didn't like say it out loud. So like I listed those, and then I started like listing movies, and then I started taking out the like the Incredibles and the Incredibles 2 and stuff like that. And it's still like 48 or 49 long. But we'll get down to the top 5, I guess. Okay.
So I guess before you start, to recap the rules for everybody, if anybody forgot, no Star Wars, no Star Trek, no Marvel, no DC, and it has to be live action. That's why all 3 of the Cars movies were not 1, 2, and 3 in my top 5. So Bryce, we'll throw it back to you.
That's fair. Okay, so I had a hard time deciding because like we were doing like the we were talking back and forth and trying to make sure that we all had independent lists, even though like a lot of it, like you and me both, you and me, Andrew, both thought Snowpiercer, and we had to kind of like toss it up. And so like but so I had to choose between the first one that I couldn't make a decision between was The Thing with Kurt Russell, like way back in the day, like 82, and Real Steel. And I went with Real Steel. And you'll see why, because the other flicks were definites. But Real Steel is like so underrated and such a good movie. And I'm nearly crying at the end when Charlie Ketton, Hugh Jackman's character, is like he's doing like the mimicking,
The shadow boxing.
He's not using the actual shadow boxing, and he's doing it. I know I'm starting back to front, but like he's doing it. He's punching through it, and Evangeline Lilly's crying in the crowd, and I'm just like, God, it's so beautiful. But that movie, yeah, it's an incredible flick. Like there's some real good drama in it. Like I mean, he's like a kind of a degenerate gambler. You know, they don't really get into too much of like how maybe kind of pathetic or like dire his situation is, but you see it happen, and then he gets beat up by some people he tries to kind of steal money from or doesn't pay them in time and stuff like this. And him and his son, a kid named what's his name? Matt Kenton was his name, and I haven't seen him anything since. But it was, I mean, he's got to be like a full-grown adult now or whatever. But you see like how he doesn't care about that kid at all. And then as the movie goes, you see the crescendo of like father-son sort of stuff happening, and it eats me up. But so do you guys remember the last fight, the ring girl that was walking around with she had the kind of like the chrome outfit, and she was walking around during the thing? That's actually one of my friends, Channing Pierce, who's a model. I think she lives in South Carolina now. She lived up here forever, and she used to date one of my friends, Joe Gall, who's a great cameraman. He's called Camera Jesus, so we'll give him a shout out here just because he's so amazing. I mean, he looks like Jesus, and he's like the best at what he does. So I remember like when I told him like 12 years ago or whatever, I was like, yeah, you're like Camera Jesus because you like look like Jesus. And he's like, oh shit, is that what people are gonna think? I was like, it's like, yeah, have you looked at yourself in the mirror recently? Like, okay, but anyways, Sean Levy was the director of that, and that guy did Free Guy. He did Arrival, which was quietly also another really great flick. Like Arrival was slow and quiet and had a lot of really droning music to it, but it was a really cool movie. And Amy Adams is amazing.
Really
like,
good.
I love her. And he also did The Adam Project, which was super fun. It wasn't
I like that movie.
too special, but it was fun. It was just like Free Guy. It was like okay, cool. There wasn't anything too long or too short. There wasn't anything too like hostile or weird, you know. So it was good stuff. And I will not go on for another 20 minutes, Andrew. I will move on to the next one right away.
I do before you move on. There were parts of that movie that were filmed in Milford. There's like the back stretches of Milford where the GM proving grounds are. And like I grew up very close to that. And that's a very close drive right now. But like I've driven all those roads. So like those winding roads where there's rocks off to the side, on the other side. Yeah, like 5-10 minutes from where I grew up, which was just pretty cool to see in a movie.
Then you're like, I recognize that. Yeah. But both my brother that some of you all just met bringing me cookies and my mother that you met yesterday bringing me cookies, they both worked on that movie. My mom is a sound operator and a boom operator. And my brother is a first AD, first AC, assistant cameraman. So they were both on that flick however many years ago it was. Moving on.
I believe that was 2011.
Bryce, it's cute that you think that's the first time we've met your mom.
Is that not the first time you met my mom?
It was a joke, bro.
Oh, that hurts.
You know. This also
it hurts more that I didn't like get it right away.
to point out, this isn't the first time Aaron has said something so unfunny that he's had to follow it up by saying it was a joke. So I would just like to point that out. That's happened more than once.
Aaron, you're about to say something, I assume.
Fuck you, Andrew.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we're at an impressive pace here. That's
I'm trying to poke the bear enough to get like one after every movie of mine. So like, let's see if we can do that. Okay. So next we're going like extremely contemporary and Oscar winning and all that with Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I kept hearing about it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. And I sat down and watched it. And by the end of the movie, I was like sitting like cross-legged in front of the TV on the ground. Like I kept rewinding parts like, oh my God, how did they do that? Just the cinematography and the special effects were just fantastic. How they were able to like two scenes at once, kind of going back and forth. I mean, that sort of camera work is so difficult because like they did that sort of thing like for a lot of like the X-Men movies when Jennifer Lawrence was playing Mystique. She would do the entire fight sequence as herself, or like in like what do they call it, the blue suits, and then she would do it all in makeup too, and then they'd match it so that you could see her actually changing from Mystique to herself, you know, like or from herself to Mystique or what, I don't know, but that movie, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, I think, they also did Swiss Army Man, and they directed and produced the TV show Legion on FX, which I only saw a few episodes of, but was really, really, really interesting. And I think it kind of falls along the same lines of like the way this movie does. But this was like, they're like, we're doing this fucking, and they just went all out with it, you know? Michelle Yeoh is obviously like the best thing ever. And don't worry, Aaron, I won't bring up Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You're fine. So
yeah, fuck that movie.
Don't freak out. So terribly done.
Hurts my soul every time he says it.
Why else do you think I brought it up? I'm trying to poke the bear, man.
Andrew, say something.
No.
It's on a tee. It's not even fun.
I could see Andrew like waiting for his time. He's like, "That's not the one. That's not the one."
Yeah, not yet.
I have to lull Aaron into this false sense of security, and then I wait till he's feeling good.
I never feel good when I'm talking to you, Andrew.
That's because it's clear to you that there's at least 3 or 4 generations between us.
Fuck you, Andrew.
You have no idea what.
Can't relate.
I did it. 2 for 5. 2 for 5. I am batting 400 here. Yeah.
You're betting 1,000 currently. You've only done 2 movies.
Well, I've only done 2, I know, but like it's going to be 5 no matter what. So like right now I'm sitting at 400. Right. Okay, so Jamie Lee Curtis as Deidre Bird. Just like congratulations on her for winning the Best Supporting Actress. And I know there was a lot of controversy between her winning that and Angela Bassett winning for her role in Wakanda Forever, because if you guys have seen Wakanda Forever, Angela Bassett took that role to the next level from Black Panther. It like you could see the emotion of like her son dying. You know, it was incredible. So I can see how like there was even a lot of talk like this is white privilege and stuff like that. But Jamie Lee Curtis's role in that was outstanding.
Well, the Academy, this is far from the first time the Academy would effectively give someone a Lifetime Achievement Award in the form of the best or best supporting role.
Martin Scorsese the Deported.
I think Jamie Lee Curtis was really good in that role, but I think if you stack up Angela Bassett next to her, but
as far as Lifetime.
No, just in
just
their
that movie.
Respective roles in Wakanda Forever and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Angela Bassett was by far the superior performance, but the Academy also doesn't want to reward Marvel movies in that way in those categories. Mm-hmm. If you look at things through the course of all of those movies, they've never wanted to do that.
Black Panther didn't win when it came out for Best Special Effects when it was nominated, did it? Or did it actually win that?
I thought it won something.
I don't know. I don't get into those.
Costume design.
I feel like Black Panther won for
the Oscars.
I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know either. I have to check it later.
I don't get into
original score, best costume design.
Yeah, I mean it'd be hard to argue that best costume design doesn't go to the Black Panther. I mean, they made an entire city for that. So, okay, so we've got our 2 fuck you Andrews. We've got 2 movies down, so we're moving on.
You're just gonna breeze through the dildo fight scene and not even mention it?
Wait, I've never seen this movie, but now I'm intrigued.
I was trying not to mention it. Yeah, like this is why I didn't want to mention it, because I wanted to go sleep.
There is an entire fight scene with like just 1,000 dildos flying around the entire time.
Really?
And I don't remember.
We already said.
Well, like here's the thing: like if you say that about the dildos, you also have to explain the hot dog thumbs. And
no, we don't. We just if we want to get Aaron to watch the movie, we have to mention dildos. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Oh,
That's a visual. That's a
my
visual.
own.
Fuck you, Andrew, folks.
He's
Even
getting
though I
ready
said it.
to talk about his movies where people don't use words; they just use their hands and their facial expressions.
God damn it, you're an asshole.
We'll get subtitles going for you.
Aaron
Old man
like
is
this
angry
movie.
at the bottom.
This is how he was watching films. The ones that had to do this.
And in every sentence it ends in ellipsis. It never like actually is period or
I
comma
saw
or
my
anything.
first movie at the 1909 World's
Fuck you
Fair in
guys.
Coney
I'm
Island.
Andrew's screen or Aaron's screen has gone dark. Oh, there he is. He couldn't quit us forever. He couldn't quit us forever.
Don't quit me, baby.
Mm.
It's all good. I got more for you. I promise.
Why can't I quit you?
I love a curmudgeon. I just can't help myself. So okay, next. And now like this series obviously started a long time ago with Schwarzenegger and Jesse the Body and all the beefcakes, you know, and Predator, but Predators is one of my favorite like sci-fi flicks ever because it's so well done. I mean, I think like sci-fi flicks in general, Star Wars or whatever the case may be, like they all get so much better as the special effects get better to use, as there's more people like focusing on this sort of technology and everything like that. And Predators was just tons of like practical effects and stuff like that, but just such a good cast. I mean, let's see here. Excuse me. Adrian Brody, Alice Braga, Topher Grace, Lawrence Fishburne, Walton Goggins. And Walton Goggins is like
Walton Goggins is amazing.
Teeth. He is in everything. Amazing. He's one of those actors we were talking about yesterday. You know, he's just like you see him in like I was watching what I turned on Netflix the other day because I didn't feel like actually like watching something, but I felt like having something on. It was Shanghai Noon, and he's like one of the cowboys in that. And he's just like. I feel like he put even bigger caps on his teeth for that role. Like it's just so ridiculous.
He'll forever be Boyd Crowder for me from Justified.
It's
when Danny Trejo's in there, which Danny's so fucking amazing, and he's in everything too. Like he's one of those, just like he's in it all, and he's always awesome in anything he fucking does.
And you can even ask, you'd be like, what character did he play? It's like he played Danny Trejo. Come on,
you know, like,
Machete. He's just Machete. In everything.
Machete, yeah. So and he was actually the next guy I was going to list, and then it's Oleg Tartarov, who's a great Russian actor who you see like he's one of those guys you just kind of see him around, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy again. Like I think the last time I saw him, he was in like The Last Bad Boys or something like that. You know, he was like one of like the Russian like bad guys. And I was like, oh yeah, there's that guy again. Luis Ozawa and Mahershala Ali. I said his name right. Yes,
Mahershala Ali.
God damn it! No, I didn't say his name right. Damn. Okay, but our future Blade, and that's gonna be a fantastic thing. Although I think that movie's put on hold.
Season 3 also.
Yes. But so some of the action sequences in that, and not even when they're fighting the Predators, when like there's other things on that weird planet that they get shipped to, are just so cool. And like, it is a little weird how like they're all like combat specialists or murderers or psychopaths or this and that, but Topher Grace is just like a high school teacher or something, and none of them are like, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. Why is he here? And none of them say that once, and it gets me. I'm like, these people are all that smart that they were able to figure out all these things, but they can't figure out that that's the psychopath, that's the serial killer. Like they can't figure that out. But yeah, no, I mean, there's so many great moments in that movie, especially at the end, like. And it's kind of cool because they kind of followed the same formula that like the original Predator did, where like mud and heat and everything kind of like blinds the predators. And then Adrian Brody just goes to work on him. It's super cool. And the visuals, especially like the skyline visuals, are just fantastic. Lawrence Fishburne is super creepy. Like maybe the creepiest he's ever been. I'm not sure how many creepy roles he plays, but like, man, he made me super uncomfortable in that movie. And I can't find a way to get Aaron to freak out and talking about this. I'm trying to figure it out in my head.
I've never seen the movie, so
it just needs to happen organically. We'll find a way to get.
Oh, there. Really?
Yeah, no. Like we started talking about like how my batting average is 400 right now, and I'm like worried about not going 600. So, Okay, but anyways, I'm going to move on to my next movie. And I think I've never heard anyone say they dislike this movie because it's really just kind of what's happening to America. Like, it was a movie that started off as a parody and now it's a documentary.
Right.
And that's Idiocracy.
Yep.
Art imitating life.
Yeah. Mike Judge made that be like, haha, I'm a funny guy. And then Trump was elected and now he's probably like, oh wow, maybe I shouldn't have made that movie.
Yeah.
Like I could like the Justin Long in the hospital, like be like, man, there's just something wrong with you. He's like smoking a huge spliff, and he's like, and he's got those buttons that he's supposed to press to like designate like what's wrong with the person. There's slot machines in the hospital. Like, I love that because like if you go to Vegas or like Atlantic City, there's slot machines in the airports. So we're almost there, you know. It's gonna start.
Those have been there since like the 80s, though.
Yeah, true. Progression in America is slow, apparently. We'll get to the giant state-sized garbage piles. We'll get there. I promise. It'll be great.
Those are in the ocean.
Well, I mean, eventually we're going to fill up the ocean, you know, and then it's what plants crave. Yeah, that and Thin Mints. Okay, so my favorite character in that movie, though, and this is one of the things that really makes it as ridiculous as the movie is I had to write this down because I can never remember it. President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Camacho.
Sounds like a TikTok user.
Yeah. I mean, that is the president of the United States, and he shows up like when what was I totally forgot what Luke Wilson's character was called. Not ready or not here or not. Oh man, and I can't believe I didn't write this down either. That's really annoying. But he's like, "Are we gonna help him out? Are we gonna help him out?" Guns in the air, yeah! And he just starts firing off like an AK-47. He's got the motorcycle. He's drinking beer on it. It's absolutely amazing. And Kristen Bell's husband,
Dax Shepard.
Dax Shepard. Like, I want that role in movies for the rest of my life. That's all I want to do with my life. Shut up! I'm watching TV. Like, imagine how much fun that must be. Like, if you pay me $100,000 for that movie, oh, fantastic. Okay, and
I'd take 20 grand for that.
Well, and going back to the presidential names, when I run for president, I am for sure going to be President Nine Toes. It will not be my name.
Wait, are you announcing your presidency run
Always
right now? Is that what's going on?
Always. I'm going to announce it every single episode until it happens. I'm going to manifest my presidency. Okay, now moving on to my fifth and final choice, and I think for most sci-fi fans, this movie ends up being one of the top ones that we all.
Yes,
yeah, we all wanted this.
We all did.
Yep. And like I haven't said it yet, and these guys already know, so that's how obvious it is. And it's The Fifth Element. And
this was shown in my senior year English class.
Oh no! Shit, really? That's awesome. I mean, it's just like there's so much ridiculous stuff that could or couldn't be part of the future, you know. And it's a lot of the things that we talked about on our last episode about like capitalism and stuff like that, how everything's fucked, and they keep having to build the world up because everything is destroyed, you know. So like, you know, he's got the Chinese place that like just comes by his window, you know, and flies by. Cigarettes only have this much nicotine in them and this much filter, and you can only have so many a day, and it's just and the outfits. But like, I remember I was like maybe 15 or 16, I think, when that movie came out, and I hadn't heard of Mila Jovovich yet, and after that I never wanted to hear about another woman in my life. I was like, oh my god, what, like Lilu Dallas Multipass. Like, it was one of my favorite things in the world. So many great characters in that, besides Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich. Gary Oldman as Zorg, who
killed that role.
Super odd.
He was so creepy.
he kills
creepy.
every
Yes,
role.
exactly.
Like,
It was uncomfortable, and like every time he was on screen, I was like, "Ugh." I remember the first time I watched it, I didn't necessarily like the movie, and then I watched it again. I was like, okay, and then I watched it again. I was like, this is fucking awesome. You know, it's one of those movies that like, kind of grows on you, and then when you realize what it's like, all the amazing things in it, like, and I do have to say this one thing. I don't know how I got on this track, but like when he's choking on the one cherry he throws in that glass of water for some reason, like what's with the animal that comes out of his desk?
Yeah, I never did get that, but
yeah, I think we all kind of know what that animal was for, but I think it's weird to like throw it in there at all. I think kind of maybe a little unnecessary, but I'm not Luc Besson, the director, and that guy's clearly a very good director. But I mean, this guy also did the Transporter movies, which the first two were really solid. The third one was okay, and then the rest of them, whatever they just keep remaking, have been whatever. I've never seen them, but he did The Professional, Lucy. Lucy was good. It was
Lucy's
about
good.
to be good.
I enjoyed
like,
Lucy.
There's a few moments though there where it fell apart, and you're like, what the fuck happened? You're like, the whole bathroom scene on the airport in the airplane, and then she's just like walking away. It's like, well, like explain to me, like I need some context here. Like, what the fuck happened? She disappeared, then she's walking down the hall. Like, give me something. And of course, I feel like he's one of those directors who's like, no, it's good that way. I don't know how he talks, but I just looked at his name and I know he's a German director, so I'm just going with that. And the absolute best thing that Chris Tucker has ever done in his life, Ruby Road. I mean, that is like that whole sequence when Corbin Dallas gets on the cruise ship or whatever, and he's running him through, and he's saying, you know, he's like, could you just like, you know, do you want to just like participate a little bit? Do you want to participate? He grabs him, throws him against the wall. And he's like, okay, just amazing. And he's got those like those three guys with him the entire time. There's like, oh, Ruby, it was just amazing. It was the best I've ever heard. You know, bzz, bzz. So good.
The hair, he had like the normal hair, and then he had
and
like
then just like
the little like cone sticking out in the hollow.
That was a little too parallel sided to be a cone. It looked more.
It was a tube.
You know.
There we go. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it a tube.
and when this blows up and we go to the moon and we're playing Wembley, that is how I'm signing autographs. I'm just taking a paintbrush with red paint and just dragging it across.
like why you strut. I'll teach you how to do that walk. All you got to do is get your heels off the ground, and it just happens. The hips start moving.
I do love when they're doing all the elements and everything, and like the flame one, and as he's putting it down, like both him and Chris Tucker, like just that little bit, like save the flame from going out.
Corbin Dallas. So, like my honorable mention, like I mentioned, was The Thing, which was just a fantastic movie, and I think like when it comes down to like a lot of things, when it comes to sci-fi, John Carpenter is just fantastic. So I'll just mention that real quick, just so I can get 6 in while the rest of you had 5. And moving on to that guy.
I don't know where you're pointing.
Which Chaplin film are you starting off with, Aaron?
Fuck you, Andrew.
Yeah. Did it? That's okay. Double digits.
Okay, that's all. So 3 out of 5, not bad. 3 out of 5, not bad.
If somebody's listening to these,
Andrew's
if somebody's listening to these back to back, they're getting drunk.
Andrew's silent film reference is starting to get old to the audience. I can feel it.
Well, you started to get old about 40 years ago, so it's ironic.
Fuck you, Andrew.
Oh,
such a dick.
Oh,
he's even improvising.
He's adding to it.
So
you can teach a really old dog new tricks. Apparently,
you're gonna see my.
Can you go so I can stop talking about?
You're gonna see my trick about dick kicking pretty soon.
I mean,
would it hurt as bad if you only have 4 toes on that foot?
Oh, you might. Yours might fit in the space between.
We might become one. We might interlock and become one soul for just a moment.
Okay.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine
Paulie,
the inner turmoil.
I don't think we can put that on a t-shirt, but we should talk
No.
after the episode and see what we can do.
Marty on Canva.
Oh, I'm
Just
imagining
kicking
that
around
now.
ideas.
Now I'm like totally distracted. So
Hey, guys, real quick before you start, Aaron, I just want to say, based on this last little exchange, we are nailing this.
absolutely,
It is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Like we
Listen,
have got this down.
if there's anybody we have to impress, it's just the other people who are part of the podcast.
Like we'll be in the text stream later, like, hey, you did a really good job. I'm sorry about all the fuck you, Andrews.
No, we won't.
But also,
No, he won't.
you, Andrew.
He'll never apologize for that.
No, if I should show how many times in the text string I say "fuck you, Andrew."
Oh man, if you people think it happens a lot
Every
here,
time.
you have no idea. You have no idea. Apparently, it's easy for him to type than it is to say. I don't know how that happens on a.
He just
on a,
copy and paste
typewriter.
it from his notes app. It's just copy and paste every time.
I was gonna
He's
say,
got it
yeah.
saved.
But
That's
okay,
crazy. I thought
so,
you were like.
so I am not into movies near as much as these guys are. I watch a lot, but I'm not going to talk to you about the score like Andrew did. And I'm not probably even going to mention other movies that directors made. But these.
Do you just want to text everybody a list of your movies and we can just call the
And
episode?
then it would be a talkie. And I did that myself, so fuck you, Andrew.
I don't.
It counts.
I love it. You have the retaliatory fuck you, Andrew, and the celebratory fuck you, Andrew. That's fantastic.
No, I'm not going to talk about the title of the movie or the director
Or the actors.
who was in it.
Or the plot.
I might just explain for 3 seconds and move
Yes.
on. Because unlike Andrew, I'm too busy to care about movies and enjoy things.
Okay, so we're gonna start out here. Fuckers. So I'm gonna start at the bottom of my list. And there was several. Like Real Steel was one of my favorites. But Ex Machina was a very surprising movie for me. It was out for a while and I did not think I'd like it at all. Directed by Alex Garland, and it was like I think it might have been like Alicia Vikander's very first big role. I'm not sure about that, but I did not know her until she played. So she plays an artificial intelligence robot. Domhnall Gleeson is a programmer who thinks he wins this trip to his company's big mansion where he gets to stay for a weekend, where he meets this artificial intelligence robot who's played by Alicia Vikander, of course, and just the way she starts out with just a robot body and like a human face, which is creepy as hell. But as as they build onto her and she evolves, and how he actually falls in love with her, it's just, and I think the entire audience falls in love with her. It was always during that movie that there was a creepiness about her that always kept you uncomfortable. And then of course at the end she locks him in this this fortress that she was locked in for how long, and goes out into the world, which I was hoping for an Ex Machina too, because when she's walking down the street at the end and you're just wondering what she's going to do to humans, I need a number two. Of course, that would probably ruin it. But I mean, it was
You're right there, Bryce.
I need a number two.
I need a number two.
Do you need to take a break,
Things
old
old
man?
men
Like,
say.
what's going on?
that was supposed to be his
I need
line,
number
so I
two.
could say
Give
fuck
me a
you,
second, I'll be
Andrew,
right
but
back
no,
here.
fuck you, Bryce.
I need a number two.
But no,
I'm sorry.
this was
he said it. I just couldn't help myself.
This was only like a $15 million budget movie, and it doubled its price, but it won an Academy Award. So
I thought you don't care about Academy Awards, but now you do. Now that we're on
the fact
movies,
that it won, I don't watch the Academy Awards. I should say that. I will pay attention to who wins that. But yeah, very good movie.
Did you say the budget was only $15 million?
Yeah.
Man, and it only made
CGI and everything,
and it only made $36 million. I don't think it did very well in theaters, but I think it kind of turned into a cult classic when it was released.
Yeah, sounds like it. Oh, and by the way, I just looked it up for you, Andrew. That was kind of like her first biggish role, but it was like a pseudo independent flick. So like she has 8 or 9 movies, or actually like 10 or 12 movies before that, and they're all like really small budget movies and like independent flicks, stuff like that. Ex Machina was like the one where she kind of made it, and then it was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and you know, everything after that. So yeah, that was definitely like kind of her coming out.
Yeah. Moving on to my next one, and you're going to see, and I don't know why I like these movies because I hate mind fucks, but when it comes to sci-fi, I kind of like the ones that really screw with your head, and I'm also big into time travel movies. I don't know, I just have this obsession with the thought of being able to go back and change something. You know what I mean? I think everybody probably has that in life.
And Ashton Kutcher. Let's not bury the lead here.
Okay.
You love Ashton Kutcher.
Yes, butterfly effect. Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher basically plays Ashton Kutcher because Ashton Kutcher plays Ashton Kutcher and everything. But
he's a Wyoming boy like you, right?
Fuck you, Andrew. I'm from Nebraska.
It's a baker's
What's
dozen.
the difference?
But actually, a star-studded cast with Ashton and Amy Smart, who we all fell in love with during Road Trip. Eric Stoltz. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's Eric Stoltz. And anyway, so Ashton Kutcher
played Frankie Staccone from Boy Meets World is his friend.
Oh yeah.
Ethan.
I forgot about him.
Who is now shredded? Have you seen him?
Oh yeah, he's huge. He is just jacked.
He is looks like he's chiseled out of marble. Like Ethan Suplee, I think.
Yeah, it is Ethan Suplee. He was the one that played. And
Remember the Titans. He was like his biggest.
Was he
Louis Lastic? Yeah, he was Louis Lastic. He was the one who was like, I hurt my back. He was like, yeah, I gave your mama a piggyback ride, and she weighs twice as much as I do. And then the whole locker room.
He's actually a great actor, but now that he's
he's a fantastic actor.
Now that he's shredded, he can't get hired because he was always playing the fat dude. Because he was in what was the one with the train with the runaway train. God,
were you talking about the Clint Eastwood movie from a few years
back?
No.
The one. Damn it.
Are you talking about the one with
Denzel? Yeah. Chris Pine.
It's something stupid like Runaway Train. Like it's not Runaway.
No,
Train,
isn't it like Pelham? Like Pelham
Unstoppable. Yeah. He was in that, and he was the one. He was the reason that the train ran away. But I digress. Anyway.
I remember from
real fast for Ethan Suplee, The Wolf of Wall Street. He was part of that crew, and it was fantastic.
Oh, that's right.
He was so good in that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now please, Paulie, if you will.
I was just gonna say I remember him from Boy Meets World, the television show. Like he was one of the big
bullies
in there. Yeah, Frankie. Is Frankie,
Vader
and like his dad was Vader. And then they actually had an episode with Vader. It's so fucking good.
I knew him from My Name Is Earl.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
he was in American History X. He was in, like you said, Wolf of Wall Street.
Guys,
he was in Mallrats. He was in Clerks 2. So he's been in every genre.
So the butterfly effect. Ashton Kutcher. It starts out when he's a kid, and he always has these these times when he just blacks out and they don't know what happens, and all of a sudden, and then as he gets into college, all of a sudden he has this he has a blackout, but he goes back to, if he like, because every time he would black out, he would write about it, like, this is where I black, and he'd write notes. So all of a sudden he picked up these notes, and he could go back to the time that he blacked out in as a child, as a teenager, and he was always trying to get, he was always trying to end up with Amy Smart, and she was Eric Stoltz played her dad, and he was a creep pedophile, and so he was always going back to these times, and every time he would change it, it would end up worse for him, to the point where he ended up towards the end of the movie with like no hands, because he and
everything just kept getting fucked
up.
Yeah.
And then he ended up killing Amy Smart at the end of the movie. But no, it's just, and like I said, time travel, and it's just such a mind fuck with how ever much you try to change something always gets worse. But and then towards the end, because his dad was committed, and so he had the gift too, but he knew how bad it was, so he actually tried to kill Ashton Kutcher when he was a kid, that you find out later in the movie. But in the end,
because he knew that he was having these episodes or whatever.
Yes, he knew he was going to have it, and he knew how bad it was for everything. And so at the end, every time it got worse, Ashton Kutcher actually figured out that he is the problem. And there's two different endings to this. The one in the movie was different. So the one in the movie, in the ending, he goes back, he watches a movie of his mother giving birth, and he ends up back in the womb, and he just ends up wrapping the umbilical cord and offing himself. So he's just never part of it. And then, because it was because of him that Amy Smart stayed with her dad, because she didn't want to not be around him as a child. It was because of him that her brother turned into a delinquent. So he just offs himself, and everything's fixed. And then the movie version, it's right when her mom leaves, and he just walks up to her at a birthday party and says, "Don't ever fucking talk to me again, you piece of crap." And so she moves away with her mom instead of staying with her dad, and so does her brother. But yeah, the two different endings was because I was watching it on TV, and I'm like, wait, that's not how it ends. He kills himself in the womb. That's too happy.
Thinking about how they test all that stuff out, like how that would have played for like test audiences, especially with the topic of just like abortion in general, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice,
right?
And for that to be the ending to the whole movie in 1998 or like the early 2000s, whenever the movie came
2004.
out.
You see, Cletus, it's not murder. It's not even abortion. It's baby suicide.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm sure that conversation at the bar would go well, Bryce.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And Aaron, cheer us up, please.
Yeah. Any other super happy?
I just tried and failed miserably. So,
jeez.
I told you I'm into dark crap. I don't know why.
So surprising.
Yeah,
it's Andrew's abuse, isn't it?
It is. Andrew drives me to
playing
it.
A tiny violin for Aaron.
Yeah, Andrew drives.
His movies were fun sci-fi flicks before like we started.
Aaron's like, hey, do you want me to ruin your entire evening? Let's talk about the butterfly effect for 36 minutes.
Yes. Well, if I wasn't abused so bad by Andrew.
Who scored that movie, Aaron? You didn't cover that. Who?
I don't give a fuck.
The score? Oh, I'm a country boy. We don't care about the score.
I literally don't know. Which is shitty that I don't pay attention to that, but
don't care.
I literally don't care.
If it wasn't Toby Keith, I don't give a shit.
Fuck you, Andrew.
Aaron, I got to tell you, the one thing I really like about the most recent FU Andrews is that you're really letting like the wait time happen. You're really building suspense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah. Well, we've got to have different ones. Okay, and then my next one, which is to nobody's surprise, or no. Sorry, I got my notes mixed up. My next one.
This is why I introduced the episode. Yes. By the way, in case anyone was
wondering. So my next one is a movie from 1997 with directed by Robert Zemeckis, who is one of my favorite directors. Has been an amazing director. It has, and I must have a thing for Matthew McConaughey too. But
yeah.
It's Contact, and Jodie Foster is the
all right.
Jodie Foster is the main character in this, and she is a scientist who she is at SETI and discovers an alien signal, which they start taking or being a because it's all mathematical. Whoever's sending it back, it's all mathematical. And when they get this, the original visual of this signal is freaking Hitler. And you're like, what in the hell? But that was, I don't remember the history of it, but that was like that was the first broadcast that was sent into space. Was Hitler talking, and so that's what they pick up and send back. So
we didn't send that. It wasn't
we didn't do that.
We did not
no.
send that. Yeah.
Yeah. Who is the we that you're referencing?
Mankind.
Okay. It's a much broader base than just the four of us.
It was the first television signal to ever go out into the ether.
Yeah, and Aaron remembers this because he was obviously like, 32, 33 in 1945?
You're supposed to leave those lines to Andrew so I can say, fuck you, Andrew.
Well, I mean, it didn't look like he was going to do anything. I mean, I figured I had to take the opportunity.
Listen, if anybody else wants to jump in and join me, you're more than welcome to. I'll get my shots in.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I made fun of you, you said, fuck you, Andrew. So I'm just going to go ahead and try and help the tally.
There you go. But no, it's a great cast. Got Matthew McConaughey, James Woods, who's turned into a fucking nutball, Tom Skerritt, William Fichtner, William Fichtner is another one of those guys who is an amazing actor, but is in everything. Yeah, look him up because you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy.
He's the guy who's in the bank heist scene. He's the bank manager in The Dark Knight who Joker puts the smoke, the smoke bomb in his mouth.
So love that guy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he had such a small part in that movie, but he was perfect.
Isn't Michael Morse also in that movie? The guy I mentioned yesterday, isn't he like the alien that Jodie Foster ends up talking to in the end?
The one that comes back as her dad. That is David Morse. David Morse,
not Michael Morse.
Yeah, David Morse.
I'm thinking of the baseball.
Yeah, and I love David Morse too. Green Mile, he was awesome, and he's a big dude.
Larry King makes an appearance in the movie.
Oh, you got Rob Lowe, Jake Busey. Jake Busey is a religious nut that blows up this machine that they end up building that the aliens sent to travel to wherever they're at. Angela Bassett again is in it, and it's just star-studded.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
And so anyway, the plot of the movie goes that the aliens send this signal, and it's actually blueprints for this machine that will pretty much just take you through a wormhole to get to their planet. And so they build the first one, and then Jake Busey, who is a religious nut, blows it up because he doesn't want to talk to him. And they kind of, but then that's
not what God would want.
Yeah, but then there was this super rich dude that had been following all of it and build his own somewhere else. So she ends up getting it into this machine, and she goes to this portal, and the aliens appear to her as her dead father, and it's a whole big long scene, and it actually, it's funny because it ties these aliens to what maybe people would believe as religion. You know, like they've kind of been watching over us this whole time, and they are the higher power. But in the end, they say, you are not ready to meet us yet. Humankind needs to evolve a lot further. And then it
got bad news for them.
As we
in the edit of the movie, Jodie Foster's like, "Yeah, no shit."
Have you seen Idiocracy? We know.
Yeah. And she,
yeah, we'll contact you in like 150 years.
Yeah, and she goes through this whole maze of wormholes where she ends up meeting her, as they appear to her father. Basically, what you consider like heaven if you're going to meet your dead relatives. But everybody who sees her, it's at the snap of a finger, and they don't think anything happens. And so they don't think anything happens. She's telling them this whole elaborate story, and they're like, there's nothing on the camera, there's nothing. And so they never really do believe her, and they think that this rich dude that built this second machine ended up just kind of getting one over on everybody, that he was the one that was somehow sending. And at the end they watch this video of Static when she goes through all the wormholes and stuff, and they say, you know what the funny thing is it's only static, but there's 4 hours of it, or something like that. You know, there's just hours of the static. And one of the greatest lines, and I'm going to butcher it, but like at the end, she's talking to a group of kids, and they go, "Do you believe in aliens?" And the line is, well, it's a huge universe, and it's pretty selfish of us to think we're the only ones that are in it. Which is a good point. But yeah, love that movie.
It's not just us; it's God too. God's here.
Yeah, whatever. I would rather if God was a bunch of aliens, just kind of
hard pass.
Okay.
But McConaughey's great in that too. Like I loved McConaughey in that one, and then like I was thinking about it, I was like, McConaughey was in another one. I was thinking of Interstellar, which he is also fantastic in. Like I love him in that. But yeah, like I mean, Jodie obviously being Jodie, like anything she's in is great. But I was pleasantly surprised when I watched that and how good McConaughey was, because all I knew him from was fucking Dazed and Confused when I first watched that, where it's just like it's Matthew.
Yeah. Two of my favorite Jodie Foster movies are
he's just himself, you know.
Contact and Safe Room are two of my favorite Jodie Foster movies.
Safe Room.
Very young Kristen Stewart also.
Yes, very young Kristen Stewart. And Dwight Yoakam, the country singer, who plays an amazing bad guy in that.
He's so good as an actor.
Like, Jared Leto also. That's one of the other.
Yeah, Jared Leto is the one.
It's like such a weird collection.
It was Jared Leto, Dwight Yoakam, and then the dude Forrest Whitaker. Yes, it was. It was Forrest Whitaker. Were the three guys that broke in.
Wow, yeah,
but yeah, that's another great movie.
That's All-Star, you know.
Yeah, that was the first movie that. Well, no, I don't think that was the first movie that Dwight Yoakam was ever in. He was also in. Oh, it was about those train robbers back in the 30s or 40s, and Matthew McConaughey was in that one too. But whoever knew that Dwight Yoakam had acting chops, but.
He fucking crushes it as the guy getting divorced at the beginning of Wedding Crashers. Where he's like, oh yeah, go comatose for me, baby.
Like he was in Sling Blade, like The Panic Room, Wedding Crashers. Like he was in a lot of stuff.
He's been in he was supposed to be in the Friday Night Lights movie. He was supposed to be it might have been the TV show where he was like slated to be the head coach. And then Kyle Chandler rode in on his motorcycle with 3 days of 5 o'clock shadow to meet Pete Berg, the showrunner, and that was it from there. And Coach Eric Taylor from Friday Night Lights is one of the greatest TV characters of all time, and I don't really think it's anything that we can even debate. But yeah, I think Dwight Yoakam was the other person who was supposed to be up for that role too. So he's gotten around in film and TV.
Yeah. So my next movie is like everybody loves this movie. I like
The
all
second
three.
best of its series.
I like all three, but number one, Back to the Future takes the cake, and I will fight any one of you about it. 2 was awesome because Pizza Hut like just promoted the piss out of it, but
Nikes.
Pepsi.
Have you guys ever met someone who says the third movie is the best of the series? Because I have.
No.
Make sure that there's no one out there.
The third vehicle is the best vehicle. The train. That's the best vehicle of any of them.
It honestly, if Aaron, after his Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon take, if Aaron said Back to the Future 3 is the best one, I wouldn't have been surprised.
You know what? Back to the Future 3 is the
podcast would have been canceled.
Back to the Future 3 is the only one I ever saw in the theater, though. The other ones were all out on VHS before I saw them. When I was very first,
they were out on a reel-to-reel when I saw them.
It was 35. It was
35 millimeter. Yeah, that's the hand crank. But no, I was introduced. So my aunt was in high school when I was very young. I would have been 4 in '85, but I think by the time I was like 6, it was out on VHS, and she put that in and said, "You're gonna like this." And I, at a young age, I was into cars, and suck my dick.
No. No, thank you.
What? Fuck you, Andrew. Let me get through this.
All right. So, anyways, Back to the Future 3. You were saying we're at 15.
Yeah. No. Anyway, and I remember I vividly remember seeing this as a young child, and I was bored with the movie until that tailgate comes down, and you hear the DeLorean fire up, and the taillights come on, and from then I was hooked. And again, Robert Zemeckis. I mean, just one of the best. And you have a lot of young, Michael J. Fox was big because of, what the hell was that show? Family Ties.
Family Matters?
Family Ties. But I mean, not a huge, because this was before Teen Wolf even. But
was Teen Wolf the next year?
I think Teen Wolf came out the next year or two.
Really?
I think it was before it.
I think Teen Wolf was 84.
Was it? Oh, really?
I'm looking it up right now. No, they were both 85. That's wild. 85. He's in
came
Back
out.
to the Future. And
Oh, wow. What a year for him, then.
That's crazy.
But you've got Christopher Lloyd, which who doesn't love Christopher? I mean, that put Christopher Lloyd on the map. Besides Taxi, because
hasn't aged at all.
Absolutely. He was great in Taxi.
He hasn't aged the way
young.
Dennis Farina didn't age for 40 years.
Mm-hmm. Thomas,
like the same age from the 25 to 65.
You got Leah Thompson, who didn't fall in love with Leah Thompson. The reason 2 is better is because, God damn it, the one that took over the part of his girlfriend. She was in Cocktail. Elizabeth Shue. You fell in love with Elizabeth Shue in Back to the Future 2.
Still in love with her.
Yeah.
Still in love with Elizabeth.
To be fair, she was a shoo-in for the role.
God damn it, Andrew.
I'm out.
Fuck you.
Wait, you know what's gotten bad when I can't stomach the jokes.
Yeah, Billy Zane was one of the thugs in one.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was Billy Zane.
Yeah, yep. Crispin Glover, who is just he's best known for Back to the Future, but Charlie's Angels. I mean, he just plays a great creepy dude.
So creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so creepy.
And he was actually only in one. There's like supposed to be cameos, but those are just stunt doubles in 2 and 3. He was never in another Back to the Future after that. And I think they had contract disputes or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's crazy.
But so yeah, I don't
sense,
think
I don't remember ever seeing him in 2.
Well, it's right at the end, or so they start the beginning again where Marty and his girlfriend are looking at the Toyota, and then his parents are standing in the doorway. So in 1, at the end of the movie, that's actually him standing in the doorway, but in 2, when he's standing at the doorway, that's not him. And then that's when Doc comes in with the because they remade that because they used Elizabeth Shue and not God, they don't even put her name on here. I should have looked that up.
Is it Jennifer?
Yeah,
Jennifer Parker.
Yeah, the
Claudia Wells is your
Claudia
baby.
Wells.
Yeah, yep. And the fun, and I don't need to tell anybody about the plot about Back to the Future who's listening to this because they know it. But but one of the greatest, and I think a lot of people know this too, but one of the greatest things about Back to the Future is Michael J. Fox was not the one picked to star in that. Eric Stoltz was the original cast. It was originally casted as Marty McFly, and it was a scheduling conflict that yeah, he couldn't do it, and so I mean that just made Michael J. Fox. But yeah, I will watch, and I will watch all 3 over and over and over again to this day.
The movies would have sucked if Eric Stoltz was Marty McFly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like seeing what you've seen with Michael J. Fox, sucks for him, but
it could be no one
Michael
else.
J. Fox is perfect in that role.
Probably one.
You know what? And that's the case for so many movies. Like so many movies, it was one person cast, scheduling conflict, and especially with COVID and everything, where they kept having to back things up. People had to drop out of movies and stuff. There are lots of movies. I mean, lots of movies where it was supposed to be someone else. You know?
Ooh, that's a good one. Do you remember Dr. Parnassus when Heath Ledger took his own life, and then it was like Jude Law, Johnny Depp. I don't know, was it or Colin Farrell? Like, there's 4 people who play the role of Dr. Parnassus, and I think Heath Ledger, when he took his own life, he was either in the middle of filming or they had stopped filming, and everybody else comes in and basically plays a version of him. And that was because I think they were all his friends and they wanted to make sure that the movie was made. I'll look it up while you guys are talking, but that was another one that was like just the revolving doors of like why someone else is in the role or something like that happened.
Crazy stuff.
Well, like to bring Star Wars into our sci-fi talk, Kurt Russell was almost Luke Skywalker. So
really? I did not know that.
Could you imagine if it had been Kurt Russell instead of Mark Hamill? Like, whoa.
Snake Plissken cannot be Luke Skywalker. He is Snake Plissken.
Isn't Kurt Russell like about the same age as Harrison Ford? I mean, I can't believe he'd even be
He tried for both roles. He went for Luke and Solo.
I tell you what, though, he would have been a decent Han Solo.
I think
he would have been a decent Han Solo.
The juxtaposition of Hamill and Ford, though, is why those two play off each other so well. Kurt Russell and Harrison Ford would be like 2 sides of the same thing.
Right.
I don't feel like that would work.
Very true. Like, it only would have worked if he would have been Solo, if he would have been Solo and Mark Hamill still been Skywalker. But again, like, I can't see anybody else as Solo or Luke or the Joker.
But yeah, that's all I got for Back to the Future. Back to the Future 3, I was fucking heartbroken when the train hit the DeLorean, but that's for a different time.
Well, and it's funny because the DeLorean is such a shitty car, but everyone loves it.
It was a piece.
Realistically, it's awful. It's a horrible car.
Well, that's not even how they sound. They got like
Kurt Russell and Mark Hamill are nearly the exact same age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
They're both 71, 72.
Still younger than Aaron for both of them.
Fuck you, Andrew. I am a young Han Solo. I literally look like a young Han Solo.
He's 16, a sweet 16. He's running out of gas. Did you hear how we kind of tapered off at the end of that one?
Andrew.
No, Andrew, I think that was a stylistic decision.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
It sounds like if Yoda said "fuck you, Andrew," he'd be like, "You, Andrew, fuck." Like, I don't know what he's doing, but He's running out of ideas here. We need. Too bad there's a writer's strike with the WGA because we're running out of ideas.
When my brother gets back from the gym, I'll ask him if he knows any writers that have any ideas for how you can spice up "Fuck You, Andrew." All right, I got your back.
I will say, I don't know if you guys have followed the WGA strike. The signs that those writers have created and the pictures I've seen of their signs are and it makes sense because they're professional writers, but their signs are fucking hilarious. Like what I saw one that was like, do you really want me to post how Succession ends? And like just all these different things about all sorts. They're so talented. So yeah, they deserve every penny that they're asking for.
When was the last writer's strike? Do you remember, like the big one that like all the TV shows?
2008 or not? Because it was like 7 or 8.
07, 08. It was 07, 08.
Like I remember specifically, everybody talked about how good Breaking Bad was, and the first season only ended after like 5 or 6 episodes because of that writer's strike. So if you look at the show as a whole, if you've seen it or if you haven't, the first season was supposed to end after like the middle of where the second season ended up being because of the writer's strike. But the end of the first season was just so strange and disjointed. You're like, why are they ending the season here? This doesn't make sense, or at least that's what I thought. But the writer's strike was fun. But yeah, it's been, 15 years now?
Yeah, 07, 08 was when it was. And it cost the movie industry $2.1 billion altogether. So
I bet.
The studios tanked $10 billion in, I think, the first 24 hours after the strike was announced. Just last week or whenever that was. So... $10 billion.
Jesus. Just pay
they're all
people.
like,
Yeah. Okay, my last movie, because we're at an hour 10. We need to wrap this up.
Wow, Aaron's taken up all this time. What a surprise!
Fuck you, Andrew.
Definitely not the interruptions.
He snuck that one in there.
You better not talk about the score. You better not talk about the score on this one. We're running out of time. That's 17, by the way.
I snuck that one in. So Interstellar is an amazing movie. Shut up, Andrew. Christopher Nolan directs it, of course. Wrote and produced it. Christopher Nolan, who, of course, Batman. Matthew McConaughey, great star-studded cast actually. Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, who I am head over heels for. Matt Damon and Michael Caine. I mean, if you have a movie with Michael Caine in it, it's don't do the impression.
I already detailed the Christopher Nolan foundation to a successful movie. It's Michael Caine.
Yes.
It's at least one of those other guys. It's a Hans Zimmer score, which this movie has. You're off to the races. You're good to go.
Yeah, no, great movie because it's sadly like getting close because the Earth is dying and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Which
it is.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, in this movie and in real life, the Earth is dying. And the only job for most people to do anymore, school isn't even a priority. Everybody just has to farm because the world is super overpopulated. We can't grow enough food, and in the United States anyway, the only thing you can grow is corn, which it's really turning into that here, which is scary.
Except in California.
Yeah. So anyway, so the Earth is dying, and Matthew McConaughey used to be like a NASA pilot before the Earth took a crap, and he had to be a farmer. And all of a sudden, he starts getting like a sign from somebody, or from like what they think is aliens in his house that give him coordinates, and he finds out that. So he goes and to this secret site where he meets Michael Caine, and they want him to pilot a ship with 4 other people because they have found that these beings have opened up a wormhole and given humans a way to leave Earth and find another planet to live on. And so they do this, and the first planet they're on, because time is like not a factor, or time works differently when you're around a wormhole. And the first planet they land on is all water, and they can only be down there for just a few minutes because it ends up being like 7 years in Earth time. And Matthew McConaughey is trying to get back to his daughter this whole time, and they end up getting screwed up on this planet, and they end up being gone for like 27 years Earth time right off the bat. So they go to the next planet because they have 3 planets they want to check out. And there was 7 people that had gone through this wormhole before that were checking each person with a different. So they're trying, and those people were trying to send back which ones to go to. They get to the second one, and they run into Matt Damon. And because he was giving them the all clear, this is going to be a great planet. Who's laughing? And then it finds out that
I'm like intrigued. Like, keep talking, please. Like, I'm like on the edge of my seat right now.
They find out that Matt Damon is a piece of shit because these 7 astronauts they sent to different planets, they knew they probably weren't going to come back. And come to find out that Matt Damon hit the all clear because he was scared and wanted to come home, which he ends up sabotaging everything and leaving them on the planet and going to leave everybody, and screws up their ship and everything, and ends up he ends up blowing up the ship because he doesn't know how to hook up to it right. But the end is Matthew McConaughey can send Anne Hathaway to the last planet, but he has to sacrifice himself. And when he sacrifices himself, he ends up in the middle of the black hole. And they figure out that it wasn't aliens sending them the signals. It was future humans who were so evolved that time wasn't linear. Time was like you could hold it. It was like time to them was like they said in the movie, like a canyon or like a mountain. Time was a whole. It was not linear. So it was humans from the future that sends them back. And he ends up at the end, his daughter is like 80 because he makes it back. His daughter is 80 and about to die, and then he ends up going to be with Anne Hathaway on the new planet as the entire human race, because they are also looking for data on how to bring this monstrous ship that holds most of the human race on it, that is almost like Earth. But it was a great movie. I took way too long to explain that, but I love that movie.
Come on, it was only like 18 or 19 minutes. It wasn't that long.
Yeah. No.
I think for everybody who's listening or watching this on YouTube, you could have just paused before it started and watched the movie and come back before we wrap.
Fuck you, Andrew.
Like, we're so close to the ending. Are we going to make it to 20 or is that 17?
The fuck you, Andrew tally could legally vote if each one of these was a year. We're at 18.
Nice.
There we go.
So there's my list. But
very well done.
All of them were talkies, and I think if we're being honest, none of us thought that was going to be the case. So it was a pleasant surprise.
I'm not doing it. I'm going to keep it at 18 just to piss you off.
Yeah, you're really showing some youthfulness. We appreciate that.
Wow, your restraint after saying "fuck you, Andrew" 12 times in the last hour is so impressive.
Like, no, I'm not going to do it the last 2 times.
Oh,
hey, you.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for anyone who's still here with us through both of these parts of this episode. But I know this was a lot of fun for us to put together. It was so much stress for Bryce. He literally shattered his gallbladder in his chest cavity, trying to whittle down his list from 206 movies down to 5.
Like, there was nothing wrong with me before everyone said I couldn't use Star Wars. And then, oddly enough, like right after somebody said that, I was in the hospital. So I don't know, like, what happened, but I'm just gonna say it's all y'all's fault.
I'm not saying it's.
No, I know you
your
got
fault,
cookies from you got cookies from your brother, but I just got caramels and alligators from my wife. So I
nice.
Yeah,
just saying.
The alligators are. I can't argue with it. The alligators are something else. Those things are amazing.
So fucking good.
So good.
Well, before we go again, want to mention our sponsor, who we appreciate
very much.
and hope everybody has
Absolutely.
gotten a chance to go take a look at. The Ballad of Bonaduke by R.T. Slaywood, exclusively available on Kindle Vella. If you haven't gone and taken a look, go do so now. Let's make sure he ends up at the top of the charts where he should be. And then one day down the road, he is planning on sponsoring a all-inclusive group trip to some lavish resort, hopefully, where he's going to pay for
It's
everything.
true. I heard about that. Yep.
And Aaron will have
Truth.
Wi-Fi that won't require me to spend an extra 3 hours just editing his audio file. So we're excited.
Fuck you, Andrew.
Very excited.
Ooh, so on the cusp.
Under the
so
gun.
on the cusp.
Got that one in. Well, gentlemen, we're at 19. Is there anything else anybody wants to add before Aaron gets to bed? Now that he spent 45 minutes talking about Interstellar.
I think on that note, we can go.
This one's for YouTube. Go to YouTube to see this one.
Bryce, we need you to. Well, actually, do we want to have Aaron tell me to fuck off as usual, or do we want Bryce to count us in?
Oh no, I gotta sign it off.
I mean, it's been a great show.
Yeah, it's been a great show, and we do want to
5, 6, 7, 8.